Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 16, National Football League. Cincinnati Bengals at home hosting the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings come into the game coming off a huge win a week ago. Nobody saw them winning that game at home versus the Eagles the way that they did, putting up all the points and really dominating the Eagles from start to finish. And so Vikings come into this game with a little bit of confidence, playing better football of late. At 4-9-1, Vikings feel like, hey, why can't we go on the road and play spoilers down the stretch? The reason why you can't play spoilers down the stretch is because you don't win on the road. All your wins on the season, all four of them, at home. And so you're on the road, a place in Cincinnati where the Bengals haven't lost all season. They've been borderline dominant at home all year, sporting a 6-0 mark. And they're mad. They're coming off of a beatdown at the hands of the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. They were embarrassed on national television. They're foaming at the mouth to really take their frustration out on somebody. It just happens to be the Minnesota Vikings in this particular instance. And so I got exactly what I expected in this game. Go ahead, pat yourself on the back. Cincinnati, you did what you were supposed to do to a bad football team. And so I got what I expected. This was a total sound dismemberment of the Minnesota Vikings in that game. They absolutely got hammered. 14 points on the scoreboard for the Cincinnati Bengals in each of the first three quarters. This game was 7-28 at the half, and it got much worse before it got any better. Final score ending up 42-14. The score was actually at one point 42-7 before the Bengals called off the dog. So this is what the Cincinnati Bengals can be when they're playing and clicking on all cylinders. And so I've been trying my hardest, my damnedest, to explain to people that this is a dangerous, I repeat, a lethal Cincinnati Bengals football team when they're not self-destructing, when Andy Dalton isn't turning the football over, when his defense is not standing in their own way. This is a top 10 defense. This is an offense that when Andy Dalton isn't turning it over, when A.J. Green is, you're not fully green unless you're A.J. Green, when he's out dominating secondaries, when he's spreading the ball around as Andy Dalton to other targets, Marvin Jones, Mohamed Sanu, Gresham, everyone. When he's spreading that football around, Tyler Eifert, when Giovanni Bernard is getting it done in the passing game as well as on the ground rushing, when Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, the law firm, is doing his part on the ground as well, this is a dangerous football team. And you saw all of it on display in this game against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, granted, the Vikings aren't a playoff caliber team. They're not even a good football team. And so Cincinnati did what they were supposed to do to them. But what I'm saying is the Bengals have a distinct home field advantage. And if they can play this way at home, because they're going to get a home playoff game, because they're going to beat Baltimore in week number 17, and they've already clinched the division. And so they don't have to worry about Baltimore trying to steal that away from them. Now they're worried about seeding, and they're going to beat Baltimore. They're going to be 8-0 on the season at home, and they're going to get a home playoff game. They're going to win that game, and then they're going to have to go on the road. That's going to be the true test because Andy Dalton at home is a different quarterback. And Andy Dalton was special against Detroit on the road. He was special on the road in a couple of games this season. He thought he played a solid game, not great against San Diego, but they won and he was solid. He can play better on the road, but when he plays like this, like he did in week number 16, 27 of 36, 344 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, spreading the ball around, 7 passes caught for A.J. Green, 6 passes caught for Marvin Jones. Sanu gets in on the action. So does Gresham. So does Eifert. So does Giovanni Bernard. When you get that kind of production from this offense, when the defense forces 4 turnovers, gets 4 sacks on the day, one of those turnovers turns into a touchdown, only surrenders 14 points. Offense scores 42 points. 35 if you want to take away the one defensive touchdown. When you're getting production out of this team like that, you can't tell me that this isn't a Super Bowl caliber football team. Now, I've been trying to go to bat for these Cincinnati Bengals because a lot of people aren't buying what Andy Dalton is selling. And I can't blame them. When he goes on the road, sometimes he's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. But what I'm trying to tell people is that, hey, at home, this team is lights out. They're going to get a home playoff game in the divisional round of the postseason. And so, by virtue of that, they're going to win that opening game. We know styles make fights. So, in that second week in the divisional round, wherever they have to go, whether it's Denver or it's New England or they're the team getting the first round bye, we don't know what's going to happen. But whatever the case may be, this is a dangerous football team. And if they get the right team, they can pack a defense, they can pack a run game, they can go on the road, and they can beat some teams. Look out for the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, okay? Look out for the Cincinnati Bengals. I like these guys. I like them a lot. And so I don't know if Andy Dalton will be consistent as much as they need him to be in the postseason for them to get as far as they want to go. But I like this team a heck of a lot because they can get after the quarterback. They can stop the run. They can force turnovers in boatloads. And Andy Dalton, when he is clicking, has an elite receiver and an elite tight end in Jermaine Gresham. They got some guys that can make some plays. Tyler Eifert is a mismatch. Giovanni Bernard is a special hybrid athlete at the running back position. Can catch it out of the backfield, can run it. They've got all the pieces necessary to make a run deep into the postseason in the AFC. That's all I'm saying. Look out for the Cincinnati Bengals. But from the perspective of the Minnesota Vikings, look, this Vikings football team, they got to figure out what the quarterback situation is going to be. Okay, Matt Castle laid an egg in this game, and you still got Freeman, who you signed in the middle of the season. I really want to see him and see how he has evolved in this offense since he's been there. We saw him last time. He was a train wreck, but he wasn't ready. Now, it's week 17. You got nothing to lose. Why not put him out there and see how he has grown in this offense since he has been getting mental reps. He's been taking snaps in practice. Let's see what he can do now. I think you got to go ahead and say that Christian Ponder experiment is a wash. It didn't work out. It's done. You got to start looking for another quarterback, or you got to figure out if Josh Freeman is the guy. You got to figure out what the quarterback position is going to be in Minnesota. Adrian Peterson comes back in this game, doesn't do much. He's a warrior. I mean, he's not 100% yet. He came out there, gave it an effort. But what you have to tell yourself, if you're Minnesota, is that you've got a stud in Cordell Patterson. Whenever this man touches the football, if there's a chance he can take it to the house. Every single time. Whether it's on a toss out of the backfield, whether it's on a reverse, whether it's on a kickoff. I mean, you got to get this guy the football in any and every way imaginable. Any way possible. He scores on a 35-yard run out of the backfield in this game. He almost popped about 3 kickoff returns. He almost popped on a reverse. The guy is stellar. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me how he is able to always get past the first and the second wave on every time he touches the football. And if he doesn't score, that last guy, that last line of defense has to get him down. I mean, this guy is electrifying. And again, I know I said this already, and I'm going to say it again. Mike Mayock was right. Mike was right. He is, without a doubt, the most explosive player out of the last draft to come into the league with the football in his hands. You got my vote. Hands down, not a discussion. Cordell Patterson is the truth. And that young man is going to be a player for this Vikings team now and into the future. You just got to figure out ways to get him involved. Just find creative ways and devise it up, scheme it up to get him the football, because this guy is a walking touchdown. He's a walking big play. But other than that, there's not a lot to get excited about in Minnesota. There really isn't. And so Cincinnati takes care of business 42-14, gets to 11-5, clinches the AFC North division with a Baltimore loss. And so they've got the division locked up. Now it's all about seeding. You got to play this one out because you just don't know. If the Patriots are to lose, Who's to say you don't get that first round bye and get a chance to rest in wild card weekend? And then I just talked about your distinct advantage at home. You come off that bye in divisional round and you get a home playoff game that could take you straight to the AFC Championship game. Look, you're trying to make this road to the Super Bowl as easy as possible. And the first round bye and a home playoff game in the divisional round is as easy as it's going to get for you if you are the Cincinnati Bengals. So, big win at home. You did what you were supposed to do, took care of an inferior opponent in the Minnesota Vikings, disposed of them like yesterday's garbage, won the game 42-14, go to 11-5, clinch the division, did a lot of good things. Now, you just got to wrap this season up on a high note and get ready for the postseason as you have the bullies of the division, the ex-Super Bowl champions, the Baltimore Ravens, coming to your place to wrap up this season. Time to put them out of their misery, make sure they don't make it into the postseason. Time to handle a little bit of family business. So that's going to do it for me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. I thank you for joining me. I got plenty more games to break down in week number 16 of the National Football League, so come back and join me as I continue to go down the slate of all the action that was week 16 in the National Football League.